picture this. It's March 8th, 2026.
Okay.
You're standing inside the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad.
Right.
There are, over 100,000 people around you.
Yeah.
And you can literally feel the concrete vibrating.
Oh, I can only imagine the noise.
Noise is entirely deafening. India has just smashed a mammoth 255 runs for the loss of only 5 wickets. And they've completely dismantled New Zealand by 96 runs to clinch their 3rd T20 World Cup.
It is just a scene of absolute, unequivocal triumph. And if we look at the historical data, it's completely unprecedented.
Right.
With that victory, India became the first team to ever win 3 T20 World Cups.
Wow.
They became the first team to successfully defend the crown, having won the previous tournament. And, they became the first to win it on home soil.
Which is huge. And looking at the massive stack of sources we've gathered for this deep dive today, match highlights, player report cards, tactical breakdowns, the global punditry, it becomes really clear that this isn't just a sports recap.
Not at all.
For anyone listening right now, whether you follow cricket religiously or you're just trying to manage a corporate team, this is a masterclass in how to build an unstoppable system. We are going to look at how to pivot under intense pressure and really deconstruct the architecture of dominance. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's do it. Because dominance of this magnitude, it doesn't just materialize overnight, right?
No, definitely not.
Before we even look at the tactics on the field in Ahmedabad, we really have to understand the systemic foundation that made it all possible. We are looking at a three-peat of major ICC trophies.
Right, the 2024 T20 World Cup, the 2025 Champions Trophy, and now the 2026 T20 World Cup.
Exactly.
And T20 cricket is, it's famous for being incredibly volatile.
Right.
The matches are short, just 20 overs or 120 balls per side.
Yeah, it goes by in a flash.
It's basically a format designed for upsets.
Yeah.
Where one player having a hot 20 minutes can just end your entire tournament.
Absolutely.
Yet our sources highlight a staggering all-time win rate for India of 66.79%. That is 187 wins. They're winning roughly 6 out of every 7 matches they play.
Which is just absurd in this format.
Right. How do you essentially remove volatility from a game that is built on chaos?
Well, you build an infrastructure that creates what analysts and our sources actually refer to as hitting riches.
Hitting riches, okay.
Yeah, the BCCI has funded and developed a domestic talent pipeline that is so unbelievably deep. Their bench strength is just terrifying to opponents.
I bet.
It allows the national team to field world-class units even when they rest their absolute biggest stars.
Reading through the roster decisions during this run, it honestly reminded me of looking at a massive tech giant's R&D department.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Like, they have so much top-tier talent in reserve that they could afford to leave global superstars, guys like Yashasvi Jaiswal and Shubman Gill, completely out of the starting 11.
And they don't miss a beat.
Right. Their offensive output doesn't drop a single percentage point.
Yeah.
Their B team could realistically enter most global tournaments and be the favorites to win the whole thing.
And the sheer volume of their production really proves that point. Just during this 2026 tournament alone, the team hit a record-breaking 106 sixes.
That's insane.
Right. And they logged 7 different scores of 250 runs or more, which is an all-time record.
Wow.
To put that in perspective for you, scoring 200 is generally considered an excellent match-winning total in this format.
Right, 200 is usually the benchmark.
Exactly. So routinely hitting 250 means they didn't just beat teams, they fundamentally overwhelmed them. They just had this endless supply of aggressive batters who had absolutely no fear of getting out.
Because they knew the guy coming in next was just as dangerous.
Precisely.
But, systemic depth is wonderful on paper. A system still has to survive getting punched in the mouth. And reading through the tournament logs, they hit a massive crisis right in the middle of the campaign. They didn't just cruise to this trophy.
No, they really didn't. During the Super 8 stage, which is that highly competitive second round of the tournament, they suffered a brutal 76-run loss to South Africa.
Ouch.
Yeah. They were entirely dismantled and bowled out for just 111 runs.
That's rough.
It snapped a 12-match winning streak. And, more importantly, it exposed a critical structural flaw in their lineup that opponents were starting to exploit.
Okay, so I know they started the tournament with an exclusively left-handed top 3 in their batting order. Who was struggling the most during this stretch?
Well, the most glaring issue was actually Abhishek Sharma. He came into this tournament ranked as the #1 T20I batter in the entire world.
Number one.
Number one. But he was struggling massively against this specific flaw. I mean, he scored just 89 runs across his first 7 matches.
Yikes.
And that included scoring 0 runs, what they call a duck in cricket, in 3 separate matches.
So the sources mentioned that opponents figured out they could just target this left-handed top order with off-spinners. Walk me through the physics there. Like, why is an off-spin bowler such a deadly trap for a left-handed batter?
It all comes down to the geometry of the pitch. So an off-spinner delivers the ball so that it bounces and turns from the right side of the pitch toward the left side.
Okay, tracking with you.
If you are a left-handed batter, that means the ball is pitching and spinning away from your body.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Trying to hit a ball that is actively moving away from you takes the middle of the bat completely out of the equation. It forces you to reach for it.
Which I'm guessing leads to mistakes.
Exactly. It usually results in the ball catching the edge of the bat for a really easy catch. Opponents realized they could just pack their bowling attacks with off-spinners and completely neutralize India's best hitters.
That's a huge problem.
Huh.
So how does a coaching staff fix a geometric problem like that right in the middle of a World Cup?
Well, the coaching staff, led by Gautam Gambhir and captain Suryakumar Yadav, they executed this mid-tournament pivot that analysts have dubbed accidental perfection.
Accidental perfection. Love that.
They moved Sanju Samson, who is a right-handed batter, all the way up the order to open the innings.
Okay.
And this pushed Ishan Kishan down to the number 3 spot with a very specific new role. He was going to become the middle overs enforcer against spin.
Okay, I have to push back on this, though.
Yeah.
Change the batting order of 1 or 2 guys,
Yeah.
and that magically fixes the entire offense.
It sounds crazy, I know.
Right. Like, wasn't it a colossal risk to just rip up your playbook and change your fundamental formula mid-tournament, especially coming off a humiliating defeat?
Oh, it was a massive risk. But it completely inverted the trap. By inserting a right-hander at the top of the order, that off-spin delivery is no longer spinning away from the batter.
Oh, right, because he's standing on the other side.
Exactly. It is spinning directly into their body, which is much, much easier to hit cleanly. So opposing teams could no longer just blindly bowl off-spin during the power play.
And the power play is those crucial first 6 overs, right? Where fielding restrictions let them score big.
Yep. And the data from our tactical deep dives shows the immediate impact. Before this shift, India's scoring rate in the first 10 overs against spin was a tournament low 6.95 runs per over.
Wow, tournament low.
But after the shift, it jumped to an elite 8.64. Their batting average in that phase rose to 36.75, which was the highest of all competing teams.
That is wild. They literally engineered their way out of a trap using matchups.
And the domino effect was even more impressive. Because Ishan Kishan was now handling the spin bowlers in the middle of the innings, it allowed another player, Tilak Varma, to slide further down the order to number 5.
Okay, and what does that do?
Well, in that specific position, Varma didn't have to face spin at all. He became a specialist at hitting fast bowlers in the death overs, the frantic final 4 overs of the game. Our sources show he was striking at a rate of 248.00 against pace in those final overs, meaning he was scoring roughly 2.5 runs for every single ball he faced.
That's just ridiculous production.
Yeah.
But a strategy drawn up on a whiteboard is completely useless if the human beings involved don't actually execute it when the pressure's on.
Very true.
I want to talk about Sanju Samson, the guy who was asked to move up the order and save the campaign, because his redemption arc is genuinely cinematic.
It really is. Here is a player who spent the early part of the tournament just sitting on the bench. He had struggled badly in a previous series in New Zealand and lost his spot in the starting 11.
Right.
But when the crisis hit and he was called upon, he didn't just fill a tactical gap. He eventually became the player of the tournament.
The aggregate numbers are absurd. He finished with 321 runs, hit 24 sixes, averaged 80.25, and maintained a strike rate of nearly 200.
Staggering stats.
But what really stands out in the match logs is when he delivered those numbers. In the virtual quarterfinal against the West Indies, India was in deep trouble at 41 for 2, chasing a massive target of 196.
Right, their backs were against the wall.
And Samson comes in and hits 97, not off just 50 balls.
Unbelievable.
Then he scores 89 against England in the semifinal, then another 89 against New Zealand in the grand final.
Yeah, he became only the second player in T20 World Cup history to record 3 successive scores of 80 or more in the knockout stages.
That's just wow.
To understand how a benched, out-of-form player suddenly produces the greatest high-pressure run in history, our sources detail this crucial 25-minute behind-the-scenes conversation Samson had with the legendary Sachin Tendulkar.
Oh, wow. What does a legend like Tendulkar actually say to a player in that situation?
He talked to him entirely about handling external noise and the immense psychological pressure of the moment. Samson was, overthinking his failures. Tendulkar helped him quiet his mind.
That makes sense.
And then Samson paired that mental shift with a physical one. He worked with the batting coach, Kotak, on technical tweaks. They focused on creating a more stable base, equalizing his body weight on both legs, and deliberately lowering his back lift when facing spin bowlers.
Okay, break that down for me. Why does lowering your back lift, meaning the height you raise the bat before swinging, make such a big difference against spin?
Well, when a bowler is spinning the ball, it can bounce unpredictably or dart through the air quicker than expected. If your bat is raised really high above your shoulders, it has to travel a longer distance to get down to the ball.
Right, that takes time.
Exactly. By lowering his back lift, Samson drastically reduced the travel time of his bat. It gave him an extra fraction of a second to read the ball off the pitch and react.
Wow.
Former coach Ravi Shastri observed that Samson had finally toughened up mentally. He stopped trying to force aggressive shots, stopped overcomplicating his mechanics, and just learned to trust his natural hand-eye coordination from a stable base.
You know, there is such a profound life lesson in there for you listening. When you're facing immense pressure, like a deadline, a crisis at work, a failing project, the natural instinct is to swing harder, work faster, and panic.
Absolutely, we all do it.
But Samson did the exact opposite. He lowered his backlift, he stabilized his foundation, he quieted the noise, he trusted his technique over brute force, and it literally won them a World Cup.
It's brilliant. But, setting a massive target like 255 in a final is a monumental achievement, but you still have to step onto the field and defend it against a very dangerous New Zealand side.
True.
The pitches throughout this tournament were incredibly batter-friendly. To win, India needed a bowler who could somehow suppress scoring when every other bowler was getting hit into the stands.
Yeah, setting a massive target is half the battle, but in a tournament where batters are seemingly scoring at will, you need someone who can actively break the laws of physics.
Which brings us to Jasprit Bumrah.
Exactly. Bumrah finished as the joint leading wicket taker of the tournament with 14 wickets. But his economy rate, the average number of runs he allowed per over, is almost incomprehensible. It was 6.21.
It defies logic.
In a format where teams are scoring 250 runs, he is giving up barely 1 run per ball. He took a historic 4 wickets for just 15 runs in the final. How is he stopping teams that are mathematically on track to chase these massive totals?
Bumrah's performance is a masterclass in the weaponization of deception. Our tactical sources focus really heavily on his specific use of the humble off-cutter, which is a variation of a slower ball.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. When I watch Bumrah bowl, it looks like a magic trick. We always associate elite fast bowlers with sheer, terrifying speed running in and throwing at 90 miles per hour.
Right.
Is his true genius actually his ability to bowl slow without changing his arm speed?
Yeah.
How is his slower ball so unhittable on these flat pitches where everyone else is getting destroyed doing the exact same thing?
Well, if we look at the data from these specific pitches, which the reports call pancake flat decks, because they offered absolutely no assistance to the bowlers, match aggregates were regularly pushing 400 total runs.
Just a nightmare for bowlers.
Exactly. And when other fast bowlers tried to bowl slower deliveries to trick the batters, they were severely punished. The opposition bowlers saw their pace-off deliveries get hit for an economy rate of over 20 runs per over.
Oh my God, 20 runs and over.
Yeah. But Boomer's pace-off deliveries, they went for an economy of just 3.43 in the final and under 6 for the entire tournament.
Mechanically, what is happening there? If the batter is already swinging aggressively, why can't they hit his slower ball?
It comes down to a very unique technical snap of his wrist at the exact point he releases the ball. Boomer runs in, and his arm speed remains violently fast, exactly the same as when he bowls a 90-mile-per-hour delivery.
Yeah.
The batter's brain registers that fast arm speed and automatically prepares for a high-velocity ball. But as Bumrah snaps his wrist, he rolls his fingers over the ball, drastically reducing its speed while imparting heavy spin.
So the batter is swinging at where the ball should be based on the arm speed, but the ball physically isn't there yet.
Exactly. And it's even more deceptive than just arriving late. The heavy spin he imparts creates an aerodynamic effect where the ball suddenly dips.
Oh, wow.
It literally drops out of the batter's expected swing path at the last possible millisecond. And he doesn't use this slower ball defensively, like just hoping to survive an over without getting hit.
Right, he's hunting for wickets.
He uses it as a prime attacking weapon. He used it to dismiss New Zealand star Richard Ravindra on the very first ball he bowled to him in the final. The Indian batters overpowered the opposition, but Bumrah just outsmarted them.
We've laid out this picture of absolute flawless dominance. The deep system, the brilliant tactical pivots, the mental fortitude of Samson, and the magical physics of Bumrah. But we always look at all the angles in these sources. How did the global punditry react to this? Surely someone had notes.
Oh, definitely. To maintain objectivity, our sources include a wide range of global perspectives. On one end of the spectrum, you had high praise from across the border.
Okay, from who?
Pakistani cricket legends like Javed Miandad and Ahmed Shahzad. They lauded India's strong, process-driven structure. They noted that a system capable of consistently producing 250 run totals is just undeniably brilliant and structurally sound.
But there were skeptics, too. I was reading a critique from former England fast bowler Steve Harmison. He entirely disagrees with this narrative of systemic dominance.
Yes, he was quite vocal.
He argued that India wasn't even the most consistent team in the tournament. He pointed to South Africa for that title. Harmison called India the best moment team.
Interesting phrase.
Right. He argued they essentially survived by winning key micro moments, heavily relying on individual brilliance from guys like Bumrah and Samson to constantly bail them out of trouble.
And we also have to factor in the perspective of former Indian cricketer and commentator Sanjay Manjrekar. He offered more of a structural critique regarding the legacy of the achievement itself.
What was his take?
He argued that despite the historic nature of a three-peat, the T20 World Cup is inherently less prestigious than the 50-over World Cup or the World Test Championship simply because it happens every 2 years, making the title far less elusive.
Let's linger on Harmison's critique for a second, because I think he has a very real argument there. Think back to that West Indies quarterfinal.
Right, the 41-for-2 crisis.
Exactly. India was 41 for 2. If Sanju Samson doesn't pull off an absolute miracle of an innings and score 97 off 50 balls, India loses that game. They go home. Doesn't that directly prove Harmison right? They were just a moment team saved by one guy having a superhuman day.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is entirely true that sports are decided in micro moments, and Samson undeniably saved them in that specific match.
Right.
However, the broader data strongly challenges Harmison's premise that they were just reliant on luck or individual bailout. Mathematically speaking, you do not win a World Cup final by an unprecedented margin of 96 runs purely on individual luck.
That's a fair point.
You do not score 250-plus runs 7 times in a single tournament just by squeaking by in clutch moments. The systemic argument is that India's deep infrastructure produces an abundance of players capable of winning those micro moments. Over a sample size of 187 wins, you are systematically overpowering your opponents, not just getting lucky.
Yeah. And regarding Manjrekar's point about prestige, I mean, the frequency of a tournament might alter how the public perceives it, but it certainly doesn't diminish the tactical execution and physical endurance required to beat 20 elite global teams and remain undefeated.
Exactly. The prestige debate is subjective, but the numbers defining their run, the sheer volume of runs scored and wickets taken, those are objective facts that no other team has replicated.
So what does this all mean for you? Taking this in, if we distill this deep dive down, the real takeaway is that India didn't win simply because they possess a massive population and a lot of raw athletic talent. Raw talent fails on the global stage all the time.
All the time.
They won through a combination of a deep, highly funded infrastructure that created unparalleled bench strength. They won because their coaching staff possessed the humility to swallow their pride and make a drastic mid-course tactical correction after a humiliating loss.
Yeah, that pivot was everything.
And they won because individuals learned to conquer their own mental hurdles, stabilize their foundations, and execute when the lights were brightest.
It really is the perfect alignment of macro-level planning with micro-level execution. And looking at the source material, this raises an incredibly important question for the future of the sport. India's eyes are already set on the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, where cricket will make its highly anticipated return.
They're already integrating the next generation, too. Look at Abhishek Sharma, the batter who struggled so badly early in the tournament with those 3 ducks. The coaches stuck with him, and he ended up hitting an 18-ball 52 in the World Cup final.
Right. So with a system that can absorb the loss of generational players, integrate youth effortlessly under pressure, and produce 250 run totals almost at will, we have to ask a fundamental question. Has India broken the luck element of the T20 format?
That's a fascinating thought.
In a game deliberately designed by its creators to be unpredictable, have they engineered absolute predictability?
If you are a competing nation hoping to win an Olympic gold medal in 2028, that is a chilling thought. Is this the new baseline? Do you now have to be able to score 250 runs just to have a seat at the table? It's something for you to mull over as you watch the global sporting landscape shift.
The standard of excellence has undeniably been raised to a level we just haven't seen before.
Think back to that roar of the crowd in the Narendra Modi Stadium. They took a format built on chaotic coin flips and roulette wheels, and they turned it into a loaded pair of dice. Thanks for exploring the architecture of dominance with us. Keep questioning the systems around you, and keep analyzing how the best in the world build their foundations. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.